Yes, back in the game, finally. Fuck me. I know it feels like it's been a long time. That's because it's been a long time. For those that follow my life closely, I've been away on a month, an odyssey, a holiday, dare I call it. What I realised somewhere along the line was that I definitely needed to get away for a break. I haven't really had one since I got back to the UK. And I've just been sort of cooped up indoors with grief and alcohol, and once a week having friends come over and getting blackout drunk, which isn't really a sort of great prescription for life or for the blues. So I decided to take a holiday because what I used to do back in the day was I would go on little adventures by myself, and this is sort of how I decompressed and experienced all of the many joyous facets of life. So anyone who's traveled, by the way, will know a holiday with friends, that's good. We all have a good time. Traveling by yourself, that's the real shit. When you just go to a place you've never been before, everything's strange, everyone's a stranger, you got to rely on your wits, you don't know what's going to happen, you set yourself no parameters. That's traveling, that's the real shit. So I thought, fuck it. I've got money, I'll just fuck off for a month and go to the US. And it coincided with a friend's wedding. That was like the premise to go over initially. And I thought I'll just stay out there, for another 4 or 5 weeks. So I will give you a brief summary of my adventures. Now, as I said, what I didn't realize at the time, because there's no one around to tell me, is I was sort of depressed. I was a bit down, hadn't really thought about it, but I was kind of just, not really myself, and I was working, and I was miserable, and then I retired, and then I was sort of miserable again, although actually that's really helped my outlook and my mental quite a bit, announcing that and sort of saying, yeah, I'm going to phase out, actually, I am. Anyway, so I went out to the East Coast ahead of my friend's wedding, and dude, I was like absolutely just fucking, I got there, I got to JFK. Right, before you fly out from the UK, you have to prove that you're not one of the filthy infected, because we're still not over this shit yet. And so 24 hours before I flew, I had to go to a lab and get a test. My entire trip was contingent on these test results coming back within 24 hours to show to whoever on the other side of the Atlantic I was going to see in JFK Airport. I also had to show proof of vaccination, so I had to print all my medical documents out, get all that together, get all the usual stuff in line, make sure my I-37 or whatever the fuck it's called is all up to date, do all of that, bring this big litany, fly out to New York, fly out to JFK Airport, and listen, JFK Airport's an experience. You all know what I'm talking about. It's no Charles de Gaulle, fair enough, but it's an experience. So get there, and there's signs everywhere, maintain social distancing, watch out for COVID, wear a mask, if but we can't make you anymore. Anyway, so I'm just like, all right, whatever the fuck, And they then just corral everyone from all over the world into like just this compressed space and say you will be waiting 1 hour to be seen. So for 60 minutes, I'm just surrounded by people coughing and it's like there's no pretensions of even trying to deal with this shit anymore. So get to the front. I'm scrambling, getting all my COVID paperwork out. And Officer Chang has said to me, he's gone, "No, what you over here for?" Said I'm here for a friend's wedding. He went, "How long are you going to stick around for?" I said, "Probably 3 weeks after that, and then fly back." And he went, "Oh, it's no worries. Good to have you back, Richard. And just let me through." So good old Officer Chang. I wish I knew I was seeing Officer Chang before I wasted all the money and time on getting all my documents together. But you know what? Fair play. It was good to be back. So I got into JFK Airport. All of this preamble is going to be relevant in a bit. And then my next stop is I got to go to Jersey, right? Which, yeah, okay. Now, I'd booked like an Airbnb in a place called Quibbletown, right? And it's called Quibbletown because they had a quibble. When the town was founded in like the 1800s, they had a quibble about what day the Sabbath should be on, a big argument. Is it Saturday or is it Sunday? And that argument was so important to the town, they named it Quibbletown. So I was staying in Quibbletown. It had everything where I was staying. It was perfect. There was a liquor store. It was a liquor store. There was a grotesquely overpriced food store. And there was a newly opened Dunkin' Donuts. That's it. It's everything. That's all your amenities right there. Like, you'll never need anything else. So I was in Quibbletown, going to the liquor store. Every time I went in the liquor store, someone was applying for a job, and the person that was applying for the job, not to be mean, but they weren't going to get the job. And the reason they weren't going to get the job is they seemed to be applying for a job when they were on meth. Which, spoiler, don't do that. It really puts you at the back of the queue, usually. And the people who were running the store, I was going in like, aye, mate, I'm just going to get a bottle of wild turkey or whatever, And someone is going, no, I'll be here in the morning, like all bug-eyed. And the guy's going, okay, yeah, right, well, could you fill in this form? I don't need no form. Just let me in and I'll come in the morning. You'll see. I'll revolutionize this place. And the guy's going, all right, okay, I guess I'll see you in the morning then. And that happened like every day I went into this liquor store. So anyway, that's where I was at. I was like pottering around drinking. It was a fucking heat wave. As I'm sure you all know, the likes of which I'd never seen. Sun just baking down onto my pale skin. I've even come back with, for me, a bit of a tan. My skin's cleared up, because again, I realised before I went away, I was becoming terminally online. I realised that now. I realised that in a moment of rare self-awareness, I had become terminally online, literally. I needed to touch grass. I touched it. I feel loads better now. So I was out there, went to my friend's wedding. There was another night we went to some bar. I got a friend called Jim, who, is a good mate of mine, lives over that way. And he's buff, right? And so we went into a bar. And the barman immediately saw us, and the barman was gay, and immediately assumed it was a bear and twink combo, right? Like, because obviously, listen, I'm gonna say this about Jim. Me and Jim would make an adorable bear and twink couple, but he's absolutely straight as an arrow, sadly. So we were in this bar, and this barman said he was having a terrible time. He'd been having a tough time at work, but a tough time outside of work, and he was meant to get some surgery, and then they told him they couldn't do it anymore, and it was like really sad. And we could see, he was sneaking drinks while he was serving us, but he thought he'd found, some gay amigos to hang out with. And I said to Jim, let's not ruin this for him. Let's let him have a good time and cheer him up, right? So we're there, we're drinking, we're it's a great selection of beers and whiskies and everything. And anyway, I thought we were all getting along fine. But then Jim went up to go to the toilet, and the barman followed him in and said, like, listen, do you want to suck my dick? So the barman tried to steal my twink boyfriend. We'd been nothing but nice to this guy. And Jim didn't want to break the illusion of what we'd been doing. So Jim said, "Oh no, I love my boyfriend very much. He's the only man for me." And the barman became super offended at that. He really was upset. He was really upset that my twink boyfriend was monogamous to me. And he then refused to serve us for the rest of the night, and was sending this very confused woman over to get all our drinks and food orders. So that was the thing that happened in Jersey. Just putting that out there. And I'm just like, dude, like, what? Yeah, I said to Jim, like, you just shouldn't have. You should have come up with a better strategy, for that. That was going to hurt his feelings. But whatever. So anyway. That was Jersey. Then I went to the wedding, and I was at the wedding, and the wedding was great. It was really good. We all had a good time. It was good. My other mate, who was getting married, who's a lawyer, is marrying like his, teenage sweetheart. They've already been together. He's younger than me, and they've already been together like, fucking 12, 14 years or something, finally tying the knot, 2 families coming together, big wedding, people from all over. She's half Indian relatives coming over from India, just massive wedding, you know, like a free bar. So I pilfered that, I absolutely wrecked that. And probably made a bit of a cunt of myself. Maybe. I can't tell. I'll never tell if I make a good impression or not with people after a few drinks. Everyone was very nice, though. So nice, they then invited me over for a 4th of July family barbecue, right? Now, definitely put my foot in it there, I think. But there were 2 distinct factions because it was over in Jersey. So some New Yorkers were coming, and New Yorkers are liberal. And you just don't ever talk politics in America, as you know. But the other guys are very staunch Republican and you know, gun rights and all that stuff. Yeah, it was weird because I was sat. Not naturally, you know, like it just happened. I got talking about guns with a guy I didn't know. He was a Republican, you know, a police officer, right? And so we're drinking and talking about it. And yeah, I think people overheard some of the things that we might have been saying because it was good. It started out talking about the technicalities of guns. And then I noticed people were moving away from the table a little bit because he was saying, you know, get yourself a gun license if they do pass the legislation in New York, because you're going to need one for when the collapse of society occurs, you know. So he was on that tip. So people started to move away from the table. But we did draw in a liberal voter who said that, you know, a female lawyer, staunch Democrat all her life, and she sort of in whispered tones said, if I knew how bad America was going to get, I would have voted for the other guy. If I could go back in time, I would definitely vote for Trump. And that was like, oh, fucking hell, no. So 4th of July happened. We went out and we did some fireworks, as you do, as is tradition. So that was nice. I probably said some really inappropriate things among the families and the kids because I've got one of them voices that carries, I guess. But in general, I don't think I did too bad. Then I went up to New York, right? I said, right, guys, Jersey's been great, been fun. I went up to New York because I had another obligation in a way, and that was, you may remember, the now infamous train wrecks clip where I'm all like, you know, fucked up and just being obnoxious and being a prick. Because I was awake for 3 days and just wrecked and on benzos and all sorts. Well, those who know the story know that Esfand and Slasher stayed up with me that night because I had a mental breakdown after that podcast. And so, obviously, Rod Slasher has disappeared off the internet, right? So I was like, well, you know, Slasher sort of saved my life that night, so I'll go and save Rod. So I've been hammering on at Rod. I'm in New York. Got Slasher to come out of his shell. And me and Slasher were drinking in New York for like a few days. We're just together, catching up on some stuff. I'm trying to get him to come back into esports and trying to get him to come back and work in esports and, you know, whatever it takes. So we were drinking, and we found this bar, right? I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this on stream, but we found this bar, and it was a rooftop bar. Get this, a rooftop bar in New York that literally looks over the whole city. You can see everything. And we got there, and no one was there. Like, a really nice bar in New York, on top of a roof, empty. You know, what's wrong with this picture, like, you know? So, anyway, we were up there drinking and, you know, talking about, you know, esports and sharing all the old war stories because I haven't talked to Rod in a long time. And it gets to, like, 11 o'clock, and I think the bar's, like, due to close at, like, maybe 1:30. And a full, and I can prove this, I've got video, a full-dressed mariachi band walks in. They're not performing. They've just come to have a drink. And they were doing a Mexican wedding. And they just finished. They just finished for the evening. And they just wanted to get their drink on. But they had the full costumes on. The guitar, violin. And I'm like, am I tripping? Or is there a mariachi band? Just walked in, and yeah, and what they were doing was they were sat at a table and they were playing songs, and people were like buying them drinks, and they would just play a song and drink for a little bit, play another song. I've got a video of that. A woman turns like a light on in a bit, so you can actually see the full mariachi costumes. There you go. La la la. I don't know what they're saying, by the way. I hope it's not. I hope it's TOS friendly. I hope it's not like some really upsettingly offensive song. So that was just mental. Like that's just such a fucking typical Richard Lewis thing that shit like this just happens to me everywhere I go, you know? So that was New York. Slash is there as well in the background. Me and Slash were just like, what the fuck is going on? And anyway, so we spent like a few days drinking in New York. We went to some other cool places and stuff. Then it happened, because of course it did. I got COVID again, because why not? Why not get COVID again, Richard? So I got COVID, and I was in a 5-star hotel in Manhattan, and caught COVID for the fucking however many times it's been now. It just lost count. But it was good. The good news is it's that piss week New York shit. So I knocked it out in about, 5-6 days. I got rid of it in 5-6 days. But I was stuck in this hotel. And I lost a week off the holiday because I was meant to go to Ohio because I had another friend who was about to drop, well, he's not doing it, his wife is, dropping the second kid. And I wanted to see him before the baby came out because obviously you're not going to see him for a while after, While I was cooped up with the cough, the kid came out early. So all right. So I was in Manhattan, just in a 5-star hotel, just fucking like ringing down. Can I have a sandwich? Sir, are you okay? You sound like you've got the coof. No, don't worry about it. It's all good, mate. Don't worry about it. I shouldn't mention this part, right? Because, again, I want you to remember, I didn't know how fucked in the feed I was when I went out. I was clearly depressed. I was clearly not out to be. I hadn't been out in public so long. I'd really lost a lot of kind of like social skills. But anyway, I was at the Call of Duty finals. I went to see the Call of Duty finals, which, by the way, a lot of New York has been gentrified now. I couldn't believe, this shows how much it's changed. Brooklyn, the houses in Brooklyn, the apartments in Brooklyn are, more expensive than Manhattan right now. And they're all been done up, it's fucking crazy. But the Flatbush hasn't changed. Flatbush hasn't changed. So I went there for the Call of Duty finals, and I was hanging out front with some girl that we'd met during the event. And while we were out there, a woman, clearly again high as a kite, came up in front of a crowd of nerdy gamers, dropped to her knees to the girl I was with because she's like a cosplayer type, and she was in a cosplay type costume, and she got on her knees and was praying to her. She was going, "Oh my God, you're an angel. Can you give me some money? I won't spend it on drugs this time." She was saying, "I won't spend it on drugs this time. Please, angel, just give me the money." And I was just like, oh no, because what do you say? You got to try and just ride. You just got to try and ride these situations out. Anyway, that sort of ended, and she said, "Oh, you're no angel after all." And she went and saw some other people. But Flatbush just hasn't changed at all. I had to get my card wasn't working with the bar inside the venue, so I had to get cash. And I'm like, "Is there an ATM in the venue?" And they were like, "No, but there's an ATM in the shop across the road." And again, like I say, people who know Flatbush know what I'm talking about. So I walked out to go to this ATM store, the store with the ATM in it, and there's a guy with a megaphone in the store. He's got a little slot, And because it was hot, they were selling like slushies. And he was like, he would open the slot and shout out of a megaphone, cold slushies, fresh slushies, get your slushies, slushies. He's just doing them, close the door, tend to a customer in his bulletproof glass booth, and then did it, slushies, get your slushies. And he was just doing that like on and off, right? So like, I get in there, and someone's trying to beat him up, probably over being overcharged for a slushie, or the slushie not being fresh. I have to use an ATM that looks like a kid has made it out of Lego. It looks like very dubious. Do it, get some money, go back, get fucking hammered. And listen, I had a public freak out at some point on the trip, which I just won't talk about. That happened. But anyway, East Coast, I said, I went out to the East Coast, and I was just, I had an epiphany throughout the East Coast, because every time I went out drinking, I realized everyone around me would either lose their mind or puke and have to go home. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Not a lot of big drinkers in esports, is there? And it's just, no, I had just reached a stage where my drinking was just fucking ridiculous. It was just beyond a joke. And so fortunately, the week with the COVID sorted me out, because I had to sort of detox as well and get off the booze. And I was like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, I've been drinking quite a bit. So anyway, I got bored of the East Coast and I couldn't go to Ohio. So I said, fuck it. And I went to some other places out on the West Coast. I went to Arizona for a bit. I was going to go to LA, and then I was like, yeah, but it's LA. Why would you do that? So then I didn't. And I went back to Vegas, where I used to live. And I thought, I'll check on all the old haunts, me and Maria used to go to, where we used to live and stuff. And it was really profoundly important that I did that, actually, because there was no magic there. They were just places. And so it was like, instead of having all this like psychological, like it felt like I was yearning for something that didn't exist, yearning for something that didn't exist. I thought, if I could get back there, all the magic, but without the people you care about, places are just places. They're just buildings. They're just moments, And so that was like really good. I went up there. There was this mountain we used to go walking on, and I thought I was going to like have some epiphany up the mountain, but there was nothing there. Just me and a bottle of scotch. And it was just like, what the fuck am I doing? So, and Vegas has lost a lot of its magic in general, by the way. Obviously during the fucking pandemic, Vegas got hit pretty hard, lack of tourism, heading into a recession. Like, all of the cool spots, like, they're just not quite so cool anymore. Like, you order room service, it comes in a plastic container with plastic cutlery. It's not some dude with a tray laying it all out for you. You don't get that unless you spend $200 or something, right? It's like they've scaled back, and so all of those little things that you used to enjoy, some of the places are closed and stuff. So I was just like, nah, Vegas kind of it's a bit passé now, So flew back. Had to take some meetings for the Commonwealth Games. Commonwealth Games are happening in Birmingham. You probably heard about that. Had some meetings for that because esports are part of the Commonwealth Games now. And then I was like, right, this is it. Got to get back on the horse. I spunked 15 grand on a holiday. Or just getting absolutely shit-faced and abusing room service and abusing hotels. But yeah, basically, thanks to all the people that resubbed for a whole month, almost 1,000 of you, with zero content. I'm still putting out content that we pre-recorded on YouTube and stuff, but obviously didn't stream or do anything for a whole month. But come back, actually feel a bit refreshed. As I said, I'd become probably like terminally online. I was like really like bothered by things that you just shouldn't be bothered about, angry about stuff you shouldn't get angry about, and I'd forgotten how to behave, in kind of like, because you only go out in the bars in Birmingham, and like, it's Birmingham, for fuck's sake. I hadn't been in any like family situations or social situations, or here's a wedding, here's a party, here's a barbecue. I hadn't done none of these things for fucking 3 years, so I realized like, oh yeah, I am the terminally onliner. So yeah, so I'm back, and there's nothing to do now except make money, but try and make that 15 grand back. I betrayed all the sponsors by going away for a month. See ya. Will you still do content for? Nope, sorry. Total. I need to shut off and totally recharge the batteries. And and I broke the programming, like Alex Jones recommended that we all do. I have broke the conditioning. I feel much better now. So it's good to be back. I was looking forward to streaming the whole time. I even took streaming equipment out, and again, talk about serendipity. There was one cable I needed missing. Otherwise, I probably would have been streaming on this holiday, and I couldn't get it. It was such an obscure cable. I went to like a Best Buy. I went to like a CVS. I couldn't get it. I was going to have to order it off Amazon, and it was going to be like, I just went, oh, fuck it then. Fuck it. That's a sign. Went away, and yeah, did my shit. And better for it. So it's good to be back. Missed you all, of course. Many of you in an individual sense. The rest of you in a more broad, modular sense. But yeah, it's good. So, streaming is probably going to be what I'm going to be doing now for the most part of my time. I'm going to be just throwing the stream on most days. Literally, I know I've said this like a billion times before and never done it, but that's because I always get sucked into the shit. And I'm just not doing it now. I've got a pretty good workflow now. I was also losing so much time to hangovers, It's okay to be honest about it. I was losing so much time to, like, fucking hangovers that, like, a lot of the times you didn't get a stream when I said I would stream is because I got bored, got loaded, and then, the old man hangovers are a very real thing. They're like 2 days, it's no joke. Like you're fucked. I was talking about it with my neighbor the other day. He's got the same shit. He just got back off rugby tour, and he said, he's like 34, and he just got back off rugby tour, and he said, I had to spend a week in bed, like just have like a week. I had to take time off work. I was fucked. It's like, yeah, it does creep up on you. So I was like losing, 2 days a week of productivity. And the thing is, it compounds because I like to be productive. I like to do stuff. I like to get stuff finished. It's why I stopped smoking weed. But then, I'm not smoking weed, but then I'm fucking smashing fucking 2 bottles of scotch in. And it's like, yeah, that's gonna, doesn't matter how good your liver is, right? You're gonna suffer for that. So you get depressed because you're not doing stuff, and then you think, oh, well, I'm sad now. I'll have a drink. I just needed to remind myself of, like, who I am, what I enjoy. And it's I'm sure I'll be depressed again in, like, 8 months. But for now, it feels pretty fucking rad. So there you go.
I let you off once before, but you still got the nerve to come back here and make trouble again. What does it all mean?